Ethiopians have long believed they are the keepers of one of the most sacred relics in human history, the Ark of the Covenant. Hidden deep within the rugged mountains and ancient churches of this remarkable land, the Ark is said to rest under constant vigil, shrouded in secrecy and divine mystery. For Ethiopians, this is more than a legend. It's a profound part of their identity, a sacred bond that ties their faith to one of the greatest stories ever told. The Ark of the Covenant isn't just an artifact. According to the Bible, it's a golden chest that carried the 10 Commandments inscribed by God Himself. It was the physical representation of God's covenant with His people, a source of divine power and protection. But it was also an object of immense danger, capable of leveling cities, striking down armies, and unleashing plagues upon the disobedient. The Ark disappeared over 2,500 years ago, and its location has been a mystery ever since. Throughout history, kings, popes, crusaders, and adventurers have sought to claim it. Yet while many have looked to Jerusalem, Egypt, or other far-flung places, Ethiopia stands firm in its claim to be the Ark's true guardian. As the only African nation never colonized, Ethiopia's history is steeped in strength and resilience. Its warriors protected the land from invaders with ferocity, while its faith inspired architectural wonders like the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. Among these ancient sites lies a sacred sanctuary, one that some say holds the Ark to this very day. Today, we'll explore Ethiopia's extraordinary claim to the Ark of the Covenant. We'll unravel the biblical story, investigate the historical clues, and delve into the faith and devotion that have preserved this legend through the ages. This isn't just a tale of a lost treasure, it's a story of a people who believe they are the chosen guardians of a divine legacy. Let's begin. The journey begins in the Ethiopian highlands, where we're preparing to embark on a 200-mile pilgrimage, roughly 320 kilometers. We will be led to some of the most sacred shrines since ancient times, an awe-inspiring land. The story of the lost Ark awaits, and with it the secrets of a legend that has endured for millennia. Ethiopia is one of the world's oldest Christian nations, and a land where faith runs deep and tradition is alive in every corner. So, in our first dive in finding the Ark, we need to go to a town called Lalibela. Lalibela is a town in the Amhara region of northern Ethiopia. It's known for its distinctive rock-cut churches dating from the 12th and 13th centuries, which are pilgrimage sites for Coptic Christians. Carved out of rock, the subterranean monoliths include huge Beit Medene Elem and cross-shaped Bete Georgis. Many are joined by tunnels and trenches, and some have carved bas-reliefs and colored frescoes inside. Lalibela itself is a marvel, often called the New Jerusalem. Connected by a maze of underground tunnels and catacombs, these churches are said to have been created with the help of angels and saints. Walking through these sacred spaces, surrounded by mummified monks and intricate carvings, it's impossible not to feel the weight of faith that built them. For the faithful, the churches are more than architectural wonders. They are places of living worship, where chants echo through the stone walls and rituals remain unchanged for 1,500 years. The Ethiopian liturgy, with its ancient roots, feels like a window into the early days of Christianity, when it was still a radical Jewish sect. But amidst all this devotion lies a deeper obsession, the Ark of the Covenant. Behind the veils of one of Lalibela's churches, Ethiopians believe the Ark resides, hidden and protected. According to legend, it was brought to Ethiopia by Menelik I, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Whether it's here or elsewhere, one thing is certain. The Ark's mystery is woven into the fabric of Ethiopian faith. To follow the trail of the lost Ark of the Covenant, one has to go to the ancient city of Gondar. I have to put this across. The original Israelite Ark is believed to be still lying in the ancient famous church of Mary Zion in Aksum. Guarded by a monk who devotes his life to the task, it is off limits to all persons, including kings and bishops. Its replicas, however, are found in all Ethiopian churches and monasteries. No one is supposed to see or touch even these replicas, let alone the original Ark. No church is fit for worship unless a copy of the Ark is installed in it, and no service is considered sacred without its presence. The tradition probably goes back to the early days, if not to the beginning, of the Ethiopian church. It should be noted, however, that Ethiopian Jews also adhere to the tradition of the coming of the Ark to Ethiopia in the time of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, and of the existence of Jews in pre-Christian Ethiopia. They claim, with good reason, that although they lost political power to the Christians, they are the descendants and heirs of those ancient Jews. The Armenian Abu Salih is one of several medieval writers who, in the early 13th century, noted the Ark's importance in the Ethiopian church. He gave the following very accurate description of the Ark's role in the church. He wrote, "The Abyssinians, that is, Ethiopians, possess also the Ark of the Covenant, in which are the 2 tables of stone, inscribed by the finger of God with the commandments which he ordained for the children of Israel. The Ark of the Covenant is placed upon the altar, but is not so wide as the altar. It is as high as the knee of a man, and is overlaid with gold. And upon its upper cover there are crosses of gold, and there are 5 precious stones upon it, 1 at each of the 4 corners, and 1 in the middle. The liturgy is celebrated upon the Ark 4 times in the year within the palace of the king, and a canopy is spread over it when it is taken out from its own church to the church which is in the palace of the king, namely, on the feast of the Great Nativity, on the feast of the Glorious Baptism, on the feast of the Holy Resurrection, and on the feast of the Illuminating Cross. And the Ark is attended and carried by a large number of Israelites descended from the family of the prophet David." So, almost all of these words, recorded about 800 years before Graham Hancock, could have been written in 1993. They describe succinctly the practices still prevalent in the Ethiopian church to this very day, albeit with replicas substituted for the original Ark. Over the past 400 years, numerous scholars who have written about Ethiopia or about the Jewish component of Ethiopian culture have underlined the significance of the Ark in the Ethiopian church, for it is impossible to write about that country without referring to the centrality of the Ark in its Christian tradition. In The Sign and the Seal, Graham Hancock claims that the Ark is not in Israel beneath the Temple Mount, as many believe, but in the highlands of war-torn Ethiopia, in a secluded sanctuary chapel at the heart of the ancient and sacred city of Aksum. There, guarded by a secretive brotherhood of monks, it forms the centerpiece of a pervasive cult which incorporates elements of early Judaism, of Christianity, and of paganism in arcane rituals and in bizarre and archaic ceremonies that are found nowhere else in the world. It is evident to anyone knowledgeable in the literature and history of Ethiopian Christianity that this claim contains little that is new. Hancock does, however, introduce a couple new but controversial ideas. Contrary to the accepted Ethiopian tradition that Menelik brought the Ark to Dabra Makeda in Ethiopia, the capital of the Queen of Sheba, during Solomon's reign, Hancock suggests that the Ark arrived in Ethiopia in the 5th century BC, 500 years after the Queen of Sheba's famous visit to Jerusalem. Moreover, he says that it did not come directly to Aksum from Jerusalem, but from the Jewish temple on Elephantine Island in Egypt, via another Jewish temple on Lake Tana, the source of the Blue Nile. These suggestions are interesting, and Hancock structures them in such a way that they seem to solve certain historical puzzles. None of them can be proven one way or another, however, and many scholars would dispute them vehemently, arguing that there is no factual evidence to demonstrate such historical movements nor any connection between the Elephantine Jewish community and Ethiopia. Hancock also claims that he discovered a history of covert quests for the sacred relic in Ethiopia since the time of the Crusades. He asserts that in 1185, the Templars located the Ark in Ethiopia, but that they were unable to return it to Jerusalem. Subsequently, Portuguese adventurers such as Prince Henry the Navigator and Christopher da Gama, Vasco da Gama's son, all belonging to the Order of Christ, formed in Portugal to shelter fugitive Templars in the early 14th century, trailed the Ark. More recently, a shadowy group of Freemasons, whose traditions supposedly descend directly from the Templars, have kept up the quest to reveal the Ark to the world. Hancock also hypothesizes that the Holy Grail legend was invented in the 12th century by Chrétien de Troyes and Wolfram von Eschenbach, also associated with the Templars, as an occult symbol for the real and historical Ark in literary allegories that describe real-life quests for the Ark of the Covenant. Thus, the location of the Ark has been transmitted to succeeding generations in the enigmatic Grail literature. Researchers who journeyed to Aksum and made their way to Mary of Zion Church were purportedly introduced to a man referred to as the Guardian of the Ark. This man was said to live his entire life inside a fenced-off area surrounding the church and will not leave his post until he dies, at which time he will be replaced by the next guardian. In the chapel of the church, 30 robes from 30 previous guardians are on display, and every one of those 30 professed that the object they protected was the true Ark of the Covenant, while others dispute and debunk this legend, claiming that, at most, the Ark in the church is merely a replica of the real thing. It fits neatly with the claim by Ethiopia's former emperor Haile Selassie that he was a direct descendant of Menelik. Selassie, who ruled Ethiopia from 1930 to 1974, called himself the Lion of Judah. The 225th king descended from King David and prominently displayed a Lion of Judah motif on the country's flag and currency. For Rastafarians, Ethiopia is Zion and the Promised Land, and in 1948, Selassie granted them land in the Rift Valley for a settlement in Shashamane. The settlement has never been very large, with no more than 1,000 Rastas at its peak, and now about 400. There was never a mass exodus of Rastas to Ethiopia, and they never assimilated. They continue to live in isolation, much like the Amish in the United States. The Kebra Nagast, also known as the Glory of Kings, is the ancient text from which Selassie's mythology stems. It narrates the relationship between King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba and their son Menelik I, who allegedly hid the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia. But how true is this? Do you believe the Ark of the Covenant is still there in Ethiopia? Share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos about the Ethiopians showing on your screen now. Thanks for watching.